we'll go straight into it, shall we?
Yeah, I'm already recording. Yes.
Already recording. Lovely British
old
accent.
job.
Lovely old job. Speaking of which, hello and welcome back to Living Legends podcast, episode 15, I believe, if my maths is correct. I'm your host for today. My name's Az from Goarin Gaming, and joined, as always, audience, you can't see this, but we're doing a webcam call today by Bill and Kel. How's it going?
It's going good.
I'm doing pretty good as well.
Commenters should let us know if you want us to do webcam podcast. Let us know in the comments down below. It's a request we've gotten before, but if a lot of people want it, then maybe we can work something out. So,
exactly.
Yeah,
it's always good to see everyone's faces, and if that's requested, then definitely let us know. But sometimes it's just nice to roll out of bed and do these audio podcasts, so nobody needs to see the filth that we reside in.
Yeah, you can't see, but most of the time I'm just like sitting here in my boxers. I'm just like, sometimes I'm not. I don't even roll out of bed. I just like hop on my phone, and I'm just like lying in bed, half asleep. My dog's just like snoring next to me.
So that's why we have those audio issues. Now it's making sense. Recording in bed.
The real thing is, am I telling the truth or am I lying?
Brilliant.
We'll never know. It'll just be part of the Living Legends podcast mythos.
It will be, yeah.
Oh, good.
Brilliant. We got a couple of topics to discuss today. Again, it's going to be similar to last week in the same vein, where it's just going to be us chilling and talking about general stuff. But we do have a few little things that we're going to speak about today. But before we go into that, just wanted to maybe go through our weeks in Flesh and Blood, what we've been doing. And I know that you guys have come off literally another call as well, doing some stuff. So maybe you could go into that, or any other tales that you two might have. Let's start with Bill, and then go on to Kel, and then me, in that sort of order. What was you just doing just now?
I mean, since I get to go first, I'm gonna kind of steal this one as mine. It's my thing to bring to the table today. But Kel and I just finished recording our intros for the Commoner Gauntlet that is going to be going up on the Spike Feeders FAB. Pretty shortly, I think. It's going to be interesting. As a little bit of a teaser, I suppose. I think it's close enough that we can start bringing some hype. But unless we mentioned it previously, Kel is going to be playing Dromai, pitted against 5 different decks piloted by myself.
Yeah, so what's not mentioned before, so yes, Dromai.
Yeah, and it's just all 5 of the games, 4 of the games, really like showed to me and showcased basically reinvigorated my love for Commoner as a format, because it's just so interesting. It feels like having access to only commons would feel miserable, but something that I've said from honestly maybe even the first day that I started playing Flesh and Blood is that commons in this game are surprisingly impactful. And I really like that design, because especially as somebody who used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering, where you have 2-3 flyers for 5 in limited that are like, that's a first pick, it's so good, like it feels so bad.
Yeah. I was actually thinking the exact same thing. It's not like Magic where you're like, here's my 3/4 for 4 vanilla that's like playable at common. Even if you get like the most powerful versions, like if you're playing Pauper, it's like you're playing like 1/2s for 2 with like a sort of okay ability. Like I'm thinking of like Kumbaj Witches, like the 1/2 for 2 that pings for 1, but then also hits you. Like that's like a really good card.
Nice.
So it's better than that. You're playing with cards that you actually normally play in like top tier constructed decks. You're playing with stuff like Sink Below and Scar for Scar.
We've said it before, haven't we? It's like it's not there's no sort of power. You can still play with power in that format, is what I'm trying to get at. You can still definitely play with power in there.
Well, even something that we mentioned a couple times during our intros were like we got to play with Heart and Crossstrap and Stubby Hammerers, and those cards are so good that they're banned in constructed formats. You're playing with cards that are too powerful for the main version of Flesh and Blood, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it, right? They're printing commons that are so powerful that they get banned. Like
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure at this point there have been more commons than cards that are higher than common that have been officially banned.
I'm trying to think of them. Yeah, we have like Seeds of Agony. We have Stubborn Hammers. We have
Ball Lightning.
Ball Lightning. Yeah, Ball Lightning is banned in commoner though because it is gross.
It's just too good.
Which is unfortunate for my Lexi deck. Lexi did nothing wrong. It was all Briar, but she had to take the punishment. Yeah. Hey man, Rangers can never catch a break. Maybe we will with Dynasty, but we'll see.
We will see indeed. Yeah. And more.
On that note. Oh, sorry. If you had something else you wanted to say before.
I was just going to allude to another conversation that we're going to be having later on in the podcast as well, is formats in general. Obviously, Commoner is one of them, and there is a proposed another one, which has probably been played. I think I saw Stephen DM Armada playing a version of this before, and I've done a sort of tournament that sort of alludes to it as well. But we'll get into that later with regards to commons and other sort of formats that you can play that won't break the bank, let's say. We'll allude to that for the future of this episode. But yeah, Kel. Apart from what you've been doing with Bill, anything else this week?
Not much outside of content. Most of it has been content for me. I mean, I make a lot of Flesh and Blood content in general, so that's where a lot of my efforts go. Most of this week, I'll mention the content because I thought it was fun and I think it's deserving, especially since it will involve a good chunk of the listeners out there, and that's the international community. And when I say international, I mean the non-US community. So. Basically, I just made a video talking about how Flesh and Blood is going global. They're adding more languages to their repertoire, while other games that I won't mention are removing languages from theirs. So I think Flesh and Blood is making efforts to grow the global community, make it more inclusive, to expand into the international markets. And specifically, I talk about Brazil because there is going to be official LSS support in Brazil now. So there's going to be distribution, there's going to be organized play, and that's fantastic because as someone who makes a lot of Flesh and Blood content, I kind of have like a kind of general like pulse of the community, and I know 100% that folks from Brazil have been requesting this for a very long time. I read the comments, I know, they say it on my videos. So I'm super excited for them, everyone in Brazil, and even in South America at large. It's going to be a lot easier for those folks to get the product. It's still going to have to pay some import fees, importing, from Brazil, but it's going to be easier than importing from like the U.S. And then the other international community that I'm going to talk about, or that I talked about, is Japan, because there is a growing Flesh and Blood movement in Japan in areas like Osaka and Okinawa, and it's all kind of like this grassroots movement just by people who really, really love the game. And that's awesome. And not just that, I mean, I mentioned it to Chris Bewley in a conversation that Chris and I had, but also I tagged Alan Hale, OP manager for Flesh and Blood, and James White in a Twitter about it. And now James White's following the Japanese player D2D. So, like, I know that they're aware of this. Like, I know that James White knows. So I think it's only a matter of time before Japan becomes, like, an officially supported area, too. And to wrap this up, I know this is a little bit long segment. It's super, super important for Flesh and Blood to come to Japan because the Japanese TCG community,
passionate.
They're super passionate. I said in my video, I really think this is true. I don't have any statistics for this. This is all just pulling it out of my butt. But I really do think, like, per capita, like, Japan has more TCG players than anywhere else, right? Because it's such a small country. But, like, they have events that have well over 1,000 players. Like, literally, for the Shadowverse Evolve game that literally came out, like, 2 or 3 months ago, they have 1,000-plus player events. Like, that is insane. Like, the U.S. doesn't even have stuff like that for, like semi-popular games that have been out for a while. So, if Japan can do that for, like, brand new games, like, they have a very, very strong card game community. And so if Flesh and Blood can come there and if Flesh and Blood can be successful there, it would be great for LSS. So, definitely. And also the Japanese players too. Like, for them to have support would be awesome. So,
yeah, it's great. It's great to see it like infiltrate. I know as there's a few Twitter people on there, and it's good to see that this fact that it's infiltrating Japan. But when it breaks Japan, it's going to be so sick.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain degree of selfishness from my part because I would love to go to Japan and to get paid to do casting at a Japanese calling.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of a dream. Like that would be amazing. But also
I
like,
would love a Japanese spring tunic.
yo,
yeah,
like,
oh yeah. All the
just imagine
cards.
someone commented on that video that I made, and someone was like, just imagine this, like Japanese History Pack 2, because like History Pack 2 is not going to come out for a couple years. Maybe Japan is one of the ones that they on board by then. And so he's like, just think about like Lexi, like Japanese Lexi and other stuff. And I'm like, oh, you're playing with my heart here. You're giving me too much hope. Give me too much hope.
Japanese Corsham, yes.
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
It would be so cool. I don't think it's out of the question. Like, I really don't. So,
no.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. We've seen like the translations and all that sort of stuff happen for all of the European and other languages. So once we see the Asian languages be represented as well, like, you know, traditional Chinese and Japanese and stuff, it's just going to bring so much more awesome aesthetic to the cards and make them even more collectible than before.
I can definitely see Chinese, Japanese, and Korean for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, there's a lot of love going around this week for the international vibe, and the journey that I've been on like over the last year has put me in contact with a lot of international people as well. You guys included, Canada, USA, and UK all on one podcast, as you said as well on your video. So it's just been a great sort of realization week for how this game has impacted a lot of people and, you know, forged friendships from all over the place. So yeah, very, very grateful for it. My week has been a little bit quiet this week, but I did make some ridiculous graphics as I always do. So one of them, which was quite funny, I spent about an hour or so on, because cutting this guy out was an absolute joke. Probably would have seen it on Twitter, but it is a Tyrannid from Warhammer 40k. And he's wielding basically General Grievous style. You know, General Grievous is from Star Wars. He's a character that basically hunts Jedis and takes their lightsabers for his collection. And he can wield like 4 of them at once. And this Tyrannid is basically a 4-armed thing, which is wielding Dorinthia's Dawnblade, the Rosetta Thorn. It's got Dread Scythe on its back. It's got Winter's Wail and Duskblade. So I just thought, I just had a little bit of a creative moment there, seeing the seeing the Warhammer 40k decks that are coming out, which is I do think they're going to be nice to play with. I'm not going to go too much into it because that's a completely separate thing. But I was just like, I need to do a flesh and blood thing with this.
No joke. I thought the Dread Scythe was like his wing or something. Like I thought it was part of his body. Like I thought, Yeah, they got this like carapace on their back, and I did a little bit of color correction to make the Dread Scythe look like it was part of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to lie about this. This does not look edited to me. I mean, I'm not a Warhammer 40k person, so I don't know what this character looks like without the swords, but this looks like pretty natural.
I think this guy would be huge though. Isn't this Tyrannid supposed to be like massive? Like, so these swords are like the size of like buses, I think.
I think so. Yeah, this is the Swarm Lord, which is the face commander of the Warhammer 40k deck, and I think the Swarm Lord is basically one of your general units that you can have. I'm not too versed on it, but yeah, this is a picture of the Swarm Lord basically, which is the one of the big guys. So yeah, you probably. Right, the Duskblade, for instance, will probably be the size of a small skyscraper.
Yeah. I honestly don't know a ton about 40k. I know a lot about Warhammer Fantasy because I was really into it at one point. Not the actual minis though. Like I played the MMO and I played a bunch of like other random video games and whatnot versions of it.
Yeah.
Never actually really played with the minis, but I do like the Warhammer universe and I like 40k too. I just don't know.
Exactly.
I just don't know a ton about it.
Yeah, exactly. It is a lovely thematic space to explore, which is why I thought, hell yeah, I'm getting my paint.net out and I'm putting some flesh and blood weapons in this creature's hands. So there we go.
Second week in a row mentioning paint.net.
Oh yeah, gotta
Wait,
love it.
We
Don't
are
love it.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
No.
we're the only podcast that has mentioned Paint.net twice in a row.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Only on the Living Legends podcast, only the transnational trifecta
Yeah.
of podcast out there would mention Paint.net twice in a row. There we go.
Yeah, we're the real ones over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, so yeah, fairly quiet week for me. But I did get an email actually, which is quite interesting, from Chris Bewley himself. So whoever's watching this now or in the future, if you're a creator or someone in the space of Flesh and Blood, reach out to us if you got this email as well, because it's very interesting. So Chris himself was in character during this email, and he says, "Attention, venerable citizen of Volcor. The festival of the fire spirits." I'm thinking of Slay the Spire because of Bill's Twitter post earlier. The festival of the fire spirits draws near. The Emperor bestows upon you a gift of gratitude for your loyalty to the dynasty or dynasty, however you want to call it, and the service to the people of Volcor. Reply forthwith with details of your current residence and telephone number. May your furnaces forever burn brightly and wine flow freely. Wine is always flowing freely, Chris. You know this.
I didn't know Volcorians had telephones.
No, I didn't either until you literally just mentioned it then.
Yeah.
Wow.
They got
so
wine,
innovative, aren't
furnaces,
they?
and cell phones.
So
And cell phones. Yes.
So I have a crackpot tinfoil theory about this that I think I told Az when he told me about this. You want to hear it?
Go for it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I did not get one of these emails.
Yeah, me neither.
I think this email is for folks who will be getting something, obviously. Like, they want your telephone number and address, which is the required minimum for mailing something internationally. You need the phone number as well.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be sending you something. But then I got to thinking, like, I didn't get one. And that's fine. Like, it's totally cool that if LSS doesn't want to send me something, they send me stuff all the time. But then I got to thinking, like, wait, what if they're sending certain people something thematically now, and then they're going to send other people something thematically later? So, for those who weren't around for Monarch, what they did for Monarch content creators is you either got something shadow themed or something light themed. Like, so they sent something specialized as to whether you were, they just kind of insinuated you were on the side of the shadow or you were on the side of the light. So this one was very, very on the Emperor's side, right? This is like, you're getting sent an invitation from the court of Volcor. I wonder if later, once more of the story is revealed, that they'll be sending stuff to people through the side of, like, the rebellion. Like, so, like, oh, aid
Of the people.
Yeah, aid Phi's rebellion against the tyrannical emperor or something like that. And so, like, first you'll have the content creators reveal what they got for the emperor, and it's like, oh, cool, look at this. And then you'll see what people got from the, the rebellion. Low-key hoping it has to do with, like, an assassin or something, but I'm always hoping that.
Yeah, well, that would be the rebel, wouldn't it? That would be the infiltration factor. So you would fall into that camp 100%.
Well, and the other thing is, is that Chris Bewley said that they really wanted to do something different and make it more of a narrative, like to make it the narrative experience for Dynasty more special. And this kind of feels like that. I don't know. It could be nothing. It could be nothing. But that's my tinfoil hat theory. Maybe reading a little bit into it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that makes sense, because the way that it's specifically written is very narrative focused, of course. Like, the fact that it's, the Emperor is bestowing upon you a gift. The Emperor isn't the only part of the Uprising story.
No.
And I assume then would not be the only part of the Dynasty story. It's not just going to be an entire set of just the Emperor just chilling out and having a good time.
No.
Yeah.
There's going to be some contest, isn't there, between two parties, surely?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first card they reveal is going to be like Emperor's Disagreement. Strongly worded letter.
Emperor argues with vassal.
But also something that I do want to say is, I mean, obviously Az is already like aware of this, but the fact that Az is going to be sent something congratulations.
Well, yeah.
You did it. You got the thing. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because obviously Kel's been in this for so long. I was just like, right, have you got this email from Chris? Because I have no idea what it could potentially be. And obviously, we don't know who's going to get spoilers yet. But if there's, one of the largest, if not the largest, Flesh and Blood content creator hasn't got this email, what could it potentially mean? Because it can't be a spoiler, can it? At this stage,
it's not spoilers. I can tell you that much.
No,
because the spoiler stuff is worded much differently, and they'll tell you things like, "This is your date for the spoiler. Do you accept?"
Official.
Yeah, they're like, don't leak this before the time. Blah blah blah. Like it's This is something different. I think they're gonna send you something cool. Like that's not a spoiler. You're gonna get some cool,
really cool.
Yeah, you're probably gonna get some cool Dynasty swag, if I had to guess. Maybe a sweet playmat that they like put in like the cool playmats. And I obviously, by the way it's worded, it's probably gonna be very Emperor, like Court of Volcor themed. I would be willing to bet. Yeah.
Wow. Is this confirmation that Azalea is part of the Emperor's court?
Yes.
Well, if my tinfoil hat theory is to be believed, maybe not Azalea, but maybe there is some sort of like court ranger thing. Maybe it's part of his army. Like he's got like an army of marksmen or something. It's like that's like one of the strongest parts of any like medieval style army are the archers. So
it's true.
Yeah, archers and pikemen. That's where it is. If anyone studies like medieval warfare, that's where it's at, man. Like the dudes with swords, not very effective if your opponents just shoot you down with arrows or stab you with these really long pikes.
Yeah. Long range, isn't it? It's like long range, firing from long range, and then keeping your enemy at bay with a spear. Yeah. That's the way forward. That's just to kill people without actually getting into combat.
Well, yeah. I don't want to get too much into it, but I did study. I did study history in college, and I focused a lot on medieval history and a lot on Japanese medieval history. And one of the common things was like the katana, not a super common weapon in Japan. It's like a rich person's weapon, like for samurai, which are basically
like a symbol.
Yeah, samurai, which are basically like nobles, more or less. Most people used spears because they were dirt cheap. It was just a stick with a pointy thing on the end. Like the actual weapon of like Japan, like the most common is like a spear. But yeah,
nice. So yeah, I don't know what that's going to entail, but it was cool nonetheless to receive it out of the blue. Because obviously, I never expect anything. I'm just doing this for the fun of the game, really. So, meeting everyone that's involved. So it's just I never expect anything. So to receive this was just like, oh, okay, what the hell is this? What's this about? Thank you very much. I will accept the Emperor's bidding.
Do you have
whatever you say?
Do you have like shipping confirmation or anything yet? I'm curious.
Not yet, no, because I have been involved in both of the content creator appreciation kits so far. So normally you get like a UPS thing sent to you when it's being shipped, don't you? Normally.
Yeah, if you sign up for like the UPS not informed delivery, that's the USPS. But if you sign up for the UPS thing, you'll get a notification like, so and so is mailing you a thing, and you're like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, exactly. So I can take the day off work to make sure I get it on the day.
Yeah.
So
that's the worst. Is like you miss it, and you're like, no.
You have no. Yeah.
You have to go to the UPS store, and then they can't find it, and.
And the UPS store is miles away from where you live because you're in the middle of nowhere and all this bollocks. Anyway, so yeah, I'm very excited, and can't wait to see what that is. So bring on Dynasty because it's going to be a fun time for everyone involved.
Really?
Speaking of fun times, I just want to say thanks to everyone who's listening to this now or in the future. Thanks for being on this journey with us. And it's great to always do this as well. I mean, I'm on a very, 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 very good mood as of recently. So I just want to say thanks to everybody who's listening to this podcast and you guys as well, Bill and Kel.
Well, you're welcome. And also thank you. And shout out to all of our listeners and viewers. If you're just watching this on YouTube, thank you. Or if you're one of the audio listeners, thank you as well. We actually have a decent amount of audio listeners, which I don't want to say it's surprising to me, but I wasn't expecting a lot because, I'm like a YouTuber, so I'm like, and not many people are going to listen to the audio version. It's just going to be a thing for people who want to. But no, we have like around 400 something concurrent, like regular audio listeners. I think that's the average. It's like 400 different people per view, which is pretty good for like a small little podcast that we just started. So that's awesome.
Like you're like, oh, I don't want to say that it's surprising. I want to say that it's surprising. I was not expecting, especially like as you said for the audio version when you showed us the metrics, the info for the audio version stuff a couple times, and yeah, like the audio episodes of the podcasts get like almost 1,000 listens.
It's a little bit less than that. It's a little bit less than that, but still,
yeah. Like our most recent Gauntlet gameplay that we posted, I think the most recent video was either yesterday or the day before, and it has like 200 views. And I'm not like complaining, of course. It's just for comparison. Like the audio version, not only the YouTube versions do get like close to 1,000 views, if not more than that, pretty consistently and pretty quickly. But the fact that there's also the audio version, and I'm going to assume no overlap unless somebody really wants to support us and watches the video and then also listens to it afterwards. So like, I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's really humbling, and I'm right there with Az. Like, I'm really, really thankful for everybody that decides to spend their day or spend an hour or two out of their day hanging out with us and listening to us. It's really cool, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. It goes back to what Chris was saying as well about the different spaces that can be explored through content creation. So auditory is one that can't be explored sometimes by visual can't be explored by people most of the time, but auditory can. So it just goes to show that there's an audience there in your ear holes. So
in your ear holes. I mean, podcasts are just super convenient for folks who are like doing a lot of traveling or have jobs where they don't have to be customer facing. I guess I could put it that way, because I've worked in several jobs fitting that description in like the last too many years since college. Because like I worked as like a baker, so like on the way to work I'd listen to a podcast, and then I'd listen to podcasts while I baked, and then like same kind of deal. Even when I was working in like retail management, I would sometimes walk to work because it was not too far away, or take public transit, and I would just listen to podcasts the whole time. So it's really good for that kind of stuff, to be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just wanted to say that. And another comment that I got in my Discord recently was, when will you guys be doing merch? So I just wanted to throw that out there. That was from Salty Sea Cat. So watch this space. If we continue to grow, we will see what happens. So with regards to that,
I've been thinking about it, and the problem with merch is that I would want to commission people that I really like to do the merch, and they're not cheap. So basically, it would be expensive. Right. I would love to commission, like I do for my own like Flesh and Blood style merch. I would want to commission a Flesh and Blood artist. And my first inclination would be Sam Yang, but I know Sam is too busy because I've asked him multiple times. Sam is just too busy because he does Flesh and Blood art, but he also works doing like other concept stuff for Legend Story Studios. I think he's actually part of their team, not just a contractor like most artists are.
Isn't he like an art director?
I'm not exactly sure of his role. I know he does a lot of concept art, and I know he does a lot of the art for the stories that they do. But he also does art like Fi. He did the art for Fi. So he does like that kind of art, but he also does like the storyboard stuff. And he did product design. So he helped design the Everfest box, I know.
Yes.
I know both he and MJ do that.
The box was so sick.
Yeah. They do an incredible job. I think they probably do some of the best jobs in the industry without using like art from cards or characters, right? They don't have the characters' faces just plastered on the box. It's much more subtle,
abstract, isn't it? Almost, yeah.
It feels very classy to me, right? It feels like I don't know how to put it, but it doesn't just have like branding and stuff slapped all over it. Though it does have the Flesh and Blood logo. But
they're not relying on the characters, are they? They're not putting Liliana here, Jace there. It's just like
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pikachu. There's
so-
Pikachu, and there's like another Pikachu
Yeah.
and a Charizard.
Yugimoto and yeah.
The set does not contain Pikachu, but we're gonna slap Pikachu on there because Pikachu sells packs.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
exactly.
Pikachu sells packs. Oh, brilliant.
But to answer the question, I would like to do merch at some point.
Yeah, to
but-
what extent or to what sort of capacity it is, who knows? But people are asking the questions, so I just thought I'd put that out there while we're on a massive high.
Mate,
Um,
we might do it at some point. It's
yeah,
it's something
still
that
growing.
I'd like to get done. I think it'd be really cool, and I
Yeah.
have some ideas of artists and like just ideas in general because we could also also use it as like the splash art for various other things. Like if we wanted to make our own like Twitter account or whatever for Living Legends, we could use the art for that, and it could be multi-purpose.
Yeah.
If you want.
But
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I'm in the same boat as you though. Like as somebody who our channel does have merch and has had merch for a while. I think something that's really important is making sure that the merch that you have on offer is quality. Like, it would be probably really easy to just hop on Redbubble and like use the Living Legends logo that Az has made, the one with the 3 flags, and just like slap that onto a shirt and sell it to people. But like that's not something personally that I would wear.
Yeah.
So it would be really easy, but it wouldn't be like good. It wouldn't be something that at least I'm proud of. So I would definitely agree with, if we want to do something, we should do something right. And I think the longer that this goes on, the higher possibility there is of us doing merch at some point. But yeah, like right now, it's just kind of like a cool idea, I think.
Yeah.
If you want merch, let us know what you would like in the comments. Like, do you want like a playmat or like a shirt or sleeves? Because I have connections to make all of those things if you'd like. I can tell you
maybe even just a mug to drink a cup of tea.
I have connections to make these cool enamel coins as well. Like these are like metal with like an enamel coating on them. They're really good. They're really solid.
Quite nice.
And Madison, who's on our team at the Spike Feeders, just has a ton of connections to get like basically any type of merch done.
Lovely.
And she's also willing to do design work and stuff. But I mean, if we wanted to get an LSS artist on, which I would. I think that it just makes a lot of sense. It's obviously no shade to Madison. Madison is so like talented, but just for Flesh and Blood, I know that's something that you really like to do is support the artists, and I love to support the artists too.
I have ideas too of the artists, and I know I have great experiences working with them. I just know they're a little. I mean, it's industry stuff. We'd be paying for commercial rights. It'd be pretty expensive. It'd be well over $1,000. Probably less than $2K, but somewhere between $1K and $2K to commission the art. But I have ideas. Like I know Bima with Pencil is really good at drawing male characters. The last artist I worked with, Emmanuel Crovius, is also really good at drawing like male characters because like she draws a lot of like Final Fantasy characters. She likes the dragon dudes from that.
So they're familiar with mullets and fantastic,
yes.
Lovely old job.
Yes, I mean like Crovius. If we wanted it to be like us on the painting or us on the thing, Crovius would make us look awesome. We would look super cool. So there's that. But
and then people meet us in real life, and they're like, "Who the god? Who are these guys?"
Well,
oh man!
What a disappointment!
They can see what we look like on the internet.
Brilliant.
There shouldn't be that much of a surprise. Maybe I'm just a little bit bigger than they think. But
same.
And then like I'm an affiliate with Dragon Shield, so I can get Dragon Shield sleeves made. Like, so if you want sleeves, playmats, other stuff, let us know.
Definitely let us know.
Curious to know. If there's a big enough demand for it, then we can do it, right? Like, if we could even do like this is really spitballing, but we can even do like a pre-order thing or a GoFundMe thing to get like so you can like help support it, like crowdsource it. That could be a possibility.
Yeah,
Kickstarters are terrifyingly effective.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Like our Kickstarter for our War of the Spike mat, which was the first time we had ever gotten art commissioned from anybody, and we got it done by a magic artist whose name is escaping me right now, and that's so offensive in my mind because we worked with him so well. He was fantastic. The piece of art that we have, I can show it to you guys because
What's-
we're on video, like we mentioned. But
What other stuff did the artist draw in Magic? I
Oh
might be able to
yeah, that
guess.
one.
Was it Victor Adame Mingus?
It is Victor Adame Mingus. That's exactly
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Hey, I like art. I know some artists.
Yeah,
Um,
but it was so surreal to get it done and to actually like support people. But yeah, like
Yeah.
it is worth it. Very expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, now that I think about it, we wouldn't need that much of a high funding goal because I know how much it costs to produce the playmats. Because I probably spent like $7,000 making my own playmats, and then the cost of the art, we'd probably need like $5,000 probably. That'd be a very comfortable amount to pay well for the artist, and yeah, I don't know, something like that. Maybe even less
Yeah.
than that. Maybe like 3,000 to 4,000. I don't know.
It's definitely something we can
It's an idea.
toss around. I don't remember what our goal was for the Kickstarter for this one, but we met it in like a day. Like people just wanted this done. Like Kickstarter's crazy.
Yeah, and
Nice.
it's one of those things where like we could try to make it like really special and exclusive. Maybe the Kickstarter version would be really special, and then if it's a big success, then we can have like a regular version for people who missed the Kickstarter. But Kickstarter people would still get something fancy like a signature or something on. I don't know. We can think of things.
Exactly. And this is just a giant brainstorm live on the Living Legends podcast right now. But thank you, Salty Sea Cat, for your question. Will we be doing merch? It's a possibility by the sounds of it, but we will see. We will see. There's lots of options there as we've just divulged to you. So again, leave a comment section below as to what you'd like to see, and hopefully we can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See how it goes. But going into a bit of a tonal shift now, I might say, with regards to the highs and lows of this game, life in general, things that happen. The national championship for the country that I'm from, the United Kingdom, was cancelled. As of there's a big statement from Dark Sphere, the team or the local game store that are putting on the event. To suggest to a lot of the UK community that the event had been cancelled due to a lot of the stuff surrounding the Queen's death, which happened recently. So that was a massive, big event that obviously the world knows about, and repercussions not only in Flesh and Blood but the entire world. So very, very understandable with regards to that. But yeah, there's articles on there. You can go and read the whole sort of Dark Sphere sort of statement that they made regarding the event. But yeah, the UK community, myself not included, were sort of speaking out about why was it cancelled? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? And you know, there was like a whole poll. I don't know the full things of what happened because I wasn't really getting involved with it. But I think there was a survey or a poll done which was massively in favour of still carrying on the championships regardless of this, and that's basically what happened. Is they cancelled it, and then a couple of days later they then put it back on again, but with the side events discounted. So the side events weren't happening. It was just the late qualifiers for the national championships as well as the actual championships themselves. So it was a bit of a roller coaster ride for a lot of people. I wasn't actually involved in it because I wasn't going from the start. But it just seemed like there was a lot of stuff going on. But the national championships are happening right now. I believe there is a stream happening. Not right now, as in this moment in time. But yeah, I think there is streams happening of it. So it did happen in the end. But I think. I don't know whether you guys have seen this or what your thoughts were on it, but I think it was cancelled very, very late into.
Yes.
So a lot of people did suffer from that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I basically saw all of the stuff on Twitter, and I chose not to talk about it because I didn't know. I mean, I knew what was going on, but like my input really wouldn't have helped at all. So
No, exactly. Yeah.
basically what I saw was early, people were like, before it got canceled, people were like, oh no, all of the stuff with the Queen is going to make it really impossible to get around near the venue. Like, it's going to be so busy with traffic, and it's going to be horrible. And a few people, like, addressed those concerns, and then they were like, okay, fine, it's canceled. And then everyone else was like, wait, what? Why? And then now it got, like, uncanceled. And then people who had canceled all of their bookings and all of that stuff kind of got shafted a little bit. And we can talk about that in a second, because I believe you want to talk about the article that LSS put out.
That was exactly. There was a response from them, which is amazing. You know, as it always is, looking to rectify things that happen. You know, the moment that it happens, almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of people that you know, when they heard about the cancellations, they were like, right, okay, fine, I'm going to cancel all my hotels, and I'm going to get refunds and all that sort of thing. And then suddenly it's back on again, and they've already cancelled all of their stuff. So those sort of people that are in that position, it is a bit of a rubbish situation to be in, unfortunately. But I don't know. I think we knew about this on the Monday. So this was the Monday before the weekend event. So I think, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but I think if an event like this happens, a world figure passes away on the Monday, you have to think, right, Nationals is next weekend. Is there going to be a repercussion? Yes, there probably is going to be a repercussion. So I'm not suffering from it. So maybe I'm a bit biased here because I'm not suffering from it. But I think you do need a little bit of hindsight if a world figure passes away and your event is in the place where it's going to be, to maybe prepare for something like that happening.
So so we're clear. In the article, LSS did write, and I'll try to get the important part here. It says, for those of you that did alter bookings and were financially impacted as a result, or are now unable to attend, we would like to send you something to recognize the impact this has had on you. If you would kindly write to premier@fabtcg.com with a brief outline of your circumstance, any invoices showing the nature of the financial impact, and your postal address, our team will look to send you something to apologize. So we don't know what they're going to send you, but they want to send you something, which is better than most companies would do, I would wager.
Too right.
Better than just saying too bad, so sad, like
exactly. So
obviously like a little bit, I don't know. I think I'm in just about the same boat as where, like I was listening to the radio either on the day of or a couple days surrounding it. And I was hearing interviews with people in the UK that were like actually devastated by this. And that's not something that happened to me, but it doesn't discount the fact that it is affecting other people. So like it does for a lot of people that maybe it didn't affect. This sort of thing just seems kind of ridiculous. It's like, okay, well, this is a person that has passed away. How does that affect me, sort of thing? I still want to play my card game, but it's like, she was around for a really long time. Like she was in power for like what, 70 years, 70 plus years.
She's older than Oldham, and that's really old.
So I don't know. Like a lot of people grew up alongside the Queen, and like it does obviously then talking about the actual people who had booked accommodations and then were told that it was canceled, and they had to cancel their accommodations, and then they were told it was put back on. I mean, it was kind of fumbled in that aspect. I think that's what I would take out of that, at least, is the sort of how it was dealt with was a little bit strange. But I don't know. I think just straight up canceling it without first, even just putting out a poll like, hey, before they decided to do any of this, and just being like, hey, do you still want to do this? And if the overwhelming majority is yes, then just say that it's fine.
Do we know if that was LSS's decision or the TO's decision?
I actually don't know. That's a good point.
I think it was T. I think there was a TO because I'm in a UK Discord, but there was so many messages I couldn't keep up with it. But I think it was the TO that said, right, we're gonna, if you still want to go ahead with this, if you're not affected, if you still want to play your Nationals event, regardless of what happened, then yeah, let us know. And then I think the response from that was, yeah, we still want to play, and therefore that's the outcome, is that they, and yeah, that's what's obviously forced. Well, not forced, but obviously LSS then had to put a statement out on it, I guess, to clear everything up.
Yeah,
So,
the actual statement from Dark Sphere, the second paragraph actually says they were in discussion with LSS regarding the tournament to place this coming weekend, and both organizations feel it is appropriate for the event to be postponed.
Gotcha.
LSS confirmed yesterday night we would be able to reschedule the event.
Gotcha.
that's
So
right.
yeah, it looks like they approached LSS, had some discussions, and then LSS then said okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, especially considering like there are places in Canada that are closed this coming Monday, which is going to be the period of mourning, and I think her the funeral.
Yeah.
So like, and this is Canada. Like we technically are like still part of the Commonwealth, but I don't think we're really affected by it all that much. I think in my middle school growing up, there was a portrait of Queen Elizabeth in the front hallway.
Yeah. It's just that's what I mean. It's just it's a historical figure, isn't it? It's part of history of the world, basically. So there is going to be repercussions. But luckily, LSS's response, as Kel said there, kindly write to us regarding your circumstance and any invoices. They want to know the value of how you're impacted in this situation. They want to know the precise figures of how you've suffered from this, and hopefully they can compensate in some way that's tolerable to what you've lost in this situation, which is just typical LSS, just rectifying shit that's gone down. So yeah, that's admirable from them.
I can't say that I'm surprised about the response that LSS has given, because they're great.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that all happened. It was a bit of a drama, obviously, as it always is with the United Kingdom. There was obviously a lot of drama last year as well, but hopefully we'll get over that. But yeah, that's why I like to spend my time with people from all over the world. So I'm not just bound to my countries, falling over themselves all the time. But yeah, let's move on from that. It was all resolved. It's going on right now as well. The stream's out there, so it's all good. And let's move on from that, unfortunately, to the week 1 national results. So obviously the nationals are not happening not only in the UK right now, but all over the place. So just wanted to recap what's going on at the moment all over the world. So I'm just going to access the article now. But there's a few interesting results in there. It gives us a little bit of a shape as to what's going to happen potentially going forward. So if we look at the article here, you can follow along. There is an article on the Flesh and Blood website that you can have a look at. But the one that comes up first is the French National Championship. There's a lot of Oldhim in the top 8. There's 3 Oldhims, 2 Briars, a Bravo, Icelander, and a Viserai. Ultimately, Oldhim wins this one, Mohammed El Fadi. But yeah, there's a lot of Oldhims in there. That was to be expected, I think, in this sort of new space as such.
Yeah, I mean, the finals is an Oldhim v Oldhim mirror match. The most fun mirror matches. I say that sarcastically because it's not. I mean, it might be. Some people might really like that block hammer gameplay, but me not so much.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the France one. We're going down to the Australian one. Nick Butcher, who recently featured on Thunder podcast. One with Oldhim again here. So again, there was only one Oldhim in this top 8. There was a lot more variety here: Viserai, Icelander, Dromai, Dash, and Kano. So yeah, quite a lot of variety going on here, with Viserai making it to the final battle here: Joel versus Nick, Viserai versus Oldhim. But Oldhim obviously coming through again.
Yeah. I was doing a quick just scroll past all of the tournaments, and I think there's only one where an Oldhim, maybe 2, where an Oldhim just straight up doesn't show up. But basically every tournament where there was an Oldhim, it got to top 4.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, it seems to be the thing at the moment. But what was really interesting about this is that we had a Reyna win, and that's in the Malaysian National Championships. So yeah, a lot of Oldhim, a lot of the meta stuff you can come to expect. That's boring, isn't it? There's a lot of podcasts out there that will discuss the meta, but Reyna coming through and won by a lady as well. Fantastic, Nitya. I don't know how to pronounce your surname, Kalai Chelavan.
Kalai Chelavan, probably. Yeah.
Nice. But Reyna coming in there, that's lovely.
It's so cool to see. The other cool thing about the Malaysian tournament is in the top 4, there were 3 Welcome to Wraith heroes.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was Dorinthia v Bravo and then Reinar v Dromai for the top 4. And then in the finals, it was Reinar v Bravo. So it was just Welcome to
Wow.
Wraith.
Absolutely.
Which is
Step back in
kinda
time.
crazy.
Yeah. So that's like the meta like 2 years ago in the final there. But yeah, I've seen some strong Dory stuff come through. John from Fluke and Box battered me with Dory, and he got quite far in France with Dory. So I think she's going to be well represented again going forward, which is nice because she's an OG and similar to Reyna here as well, and Bravo, the classic Bravo.
It'll be interesting to see if Dory can like put up some like good numbers. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some warrior stuff in Dynasty as well, so hopefully maybe that pushes her over the edge a little bit. But yeah,
I mean, I think that even just the new special edition that she got, is it even a specialization from the Reinar v Dory decks? That
Glistening
Majestic.
Steelbait.
That was, I think.
That's vile.
That card is bonkers.
Pretty good.
It really is.
Pretty good.
I've been hit by it turn 1 way too many times.
Yeah.
Honestly, overall, I mean, we still have a little bit more to talk about, but I love how diverse the meta is here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we see Oldhim winning a lot, obviously, but the fact that it's like a couple Oldhims, or like even like we were just saying in Malaysia, there's like no Oldhims in the top 8.
Yep.
Like not even any, which is awesome. And you got weird stuff like we mentioned, Dorinthia and Reinar. So I think it's pretty cool.
Icelander, I mean, there are Icelanders in a couple of these other tournaments, but the fact that it's just basically everybody but Oldhim is kind of a breath of fresh air.
It is. Yeah.
It does, and I know this is like a little bit of a straw man. I know these events are a little bit smaller than some of the bigger events, like a U.S. calling or something like that. But still, I don't think that should diminish it all that much, you know.
Oh.
No, definitely not. Yeah. And speaking of Malaysian as well, I've been speaking to Stormgate Games, who are based out in Malaysia. So maybe we'll get them on the podcast at some stage to discuss why this is. Why is it so varied over there? Why are they not playing Oldhim, which is the one that all of the other metagame heads are talking about, is Oldhim and Icelander. When in this particular snapshot, there is just one Icelander, when a lot of the talk is Icelander and Oldhim at the moment. So
I have a great segue into the next one, because the other hero I hear a lot of pros talk about is Dromai.
Yeah.
And if we look at the Norwegian national championships, we have Dromai actually winning, which is
that's right.
Awesome. Yeah. Dromai, one of my personal favorite heroes in the entire game. So hey, if Lexi or Azalea can't win, I'd like to see Dromai win. So yeah,
too right.
Dromai gets some Living Legend Classic Instructed points there, which is great. Beating a Viserai too, which is a hero that has was favored for a while, but has now fallen out of favor. So getting some Viserai back in there, which is great.
Yeah.
Also, Dorinthia was also in the top 8, by the way, of the Norwegian.
She was.
Yeah, so we do have Dorinthia. We have a couple Phis, and then actually there's 2 Dorinthias. Now that I look at it, that's pretty surprising.
Oh my
God. Wow. Yeah, I mean, like, Dorinthia was the first hero that I really, really enjoyed. And then I really liked Viserai, actually. Viserai and Azalea with Arcane Rising.
Same. Yeah.
But it's pretty sweet to see Dorinthia making it. Like, I know, like, I'm very curious to see what the U.S. and the Canadian top 8s are going to be. Because say what you want about any other country. I know there's some really, really good top end competitors in Europe. I mean, the Pro Tours obviously show that. But I know a lot of folks consider some of the best players to also be in Canada and the US, and I would love to see what the metas look like for both of those, which are happening soon. Canadian this weekend, and the US, I think, either next weekend or the weekend following. Pretty soon.
Yeah.
The sample size is larger as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 of our local players in the Winnipeg meta are actually at Canadian Nats right now.
Do you know what heroes they're playing?
I know that my buddy Grant is playing Phi, and I think Seth is playing Icelander. And the last update that I have right now is Grant is currently 4-1.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
With Phi?
With Phi, yeah.
Nice.
He's kind of crushing it. And I hope it's because he needed E-strikes for his deck. He just didn't have any.
Oh, yeah.
So I lent him my playset, which are foils. So
Nice.
they're lucky.
Nice. You're gonna also flex on him while you're throwing.
I hope he's slapping people around with my foil E-strikes.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I would love to see some ninja victories. I know a lot of people were scared about Phi early on, but really hasn't converted all that much. So
I think since the ban.
Yeah. I mean, Stubby Hammer does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Which is, like we said earlier, surprising because it pushes out like legendary equipment like the Shuko, but like innocuous little stubbies. It's like a onboard like 5 to 7 additional damage or whatever. Like, because Phi can do absolutely disgusting turns where you can play your hand, you can play the card from Arsenal, you can play your Phoenix Flame, you can get your Phoenix Flame back and play it again, like for tutor for it or whatever. Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, you think about it, you look at other pieces of equipment, and like even comparing it to something like Goliath Gauntlet, it adds 2 damage sometimes. Only on if something is costed the appropriate amount. Whereas Stubby Hammers is just like, okay, for the entire turn you can get +1, which we've seen with like Spreading Flames and stuff. Just generic +1s on things are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah.
So it's going to be It's going to be interesting to see like how it shapes out. Like, as you say, we've got loads more nationals to come, so it's going to be interesting to see what other heroes come to the forefront because we've had a couple of strange ones in the ones that have happened so far. But that's the beauty of the world situation. You know, metas in the world, different parts of the world are going to be different. I don't know whether that's going to be less so now that Talishar Online or Talishar.net is a thing because, you know, worldwide people can access it and figure out what the best deck might be. Is that going to take away from the discovery of, you know, weird and wonderful metas in different places of the world? I don't know. It hasn't so far, but yeah, will that make an impact in the future? We'll see. But
if we want to give a quick little rundown of the last 2, I can do it real quick because they're interesting.
Yeah.
So for Slovenia, we only have a top 4. It doesn't even show a top 8. I don't know if just because that data isn't available or if it's just because it was much smaller. But we do have a Dorinthia and Oldhim in the finals, which is awesome to see. Dorinthia lost, which is you hate to see, but you know, what can you do? I can feel the Dorinthia's pain, by the way, like of just getting absolutely just blocked out on every single attack. Also,
Dawnblade just wasn't hitting at all, was it?
both of the players are named Jan. Jan Sinkovec on Dorinthia and Jan Ban on Oldhim. So that's interesting.
Nice.
And then in the Vietnamese national championship, they use the images for young heroes. So I don't know if this was a Blitz. It is Blitz. Yeah, it is Blitz. The only nationals event in 2022 to feature Blitz. So this was a Blitz nationals in Vietnam, and Dorinthia actually ended up winning. So it was Dorinthia versus Oldhim. Same kind of deal as we saw in the Slovenian nationals, but here's the reverse. We have Dorinthia winning, which is super interesting. I think it has more to say about maybe the format and the lower health sizes. Dorinthia can be a little more aggressive, go all in, and Oldhim can't do as much. And there's some cards that are banned, in Blitz that aren't banned in Classic Constructed. That'll make it a little bit easier for Dorinthia to get there.
Yeah, and she actually beat a chain on the way through to the final as well here.
Yeah, there's some scary
which is interesting.
stuff. There was a chain, a Briar, a Icelander, which a lot of people are afraid of in Blitz, a Bravo, a Dash. Looks really interesting. There's multiple Dorinthias. We're seeing a Dorinthia renaissance here, to be honest.
I think so, yeah.
Interesting. But, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see the rest of the Nationals, the top 8s, all that good stuff. Going into Worlds, exactly. It's going to be super interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be good. But I mean, going on to some speculation now, and maybe a potential leak as well, potentially. On the website right now on Flesh and Blood, you can click on Heroes, go to Living Legend, scroll down and check where the signature weapons sort of list is, and you can see a hero called Yoji, Royal Protector, which doesn't actually have a weapon, similar to Valda Bright Axe doesn't have a weapon, similar to the Emperor himself doesn't have a weapon, Shiana, they don't have signature weapons yet. But Yoji, Royal Protector is on there, and we haven't seen a Yoji before. So is this going to be, or is this intentional? Is this on here to, just sort of purposefully, I don't even know how to say that word, sort of spoil the hero in the set? Or is it on there by mistake? They probably realise it's on there now. What's the situation with this, do you think?
I don't think it's a mistake. LSS likes putting in these little breadcrumbs for people. Like James White has specifically said he loves doing stuff like this and seeing all the speculation. He loves it. So
and it's like it doesn't really dig into anything. It doesn't like circumvent any of the spoilers that they're actually going to be sending out because it's just a name. So it gives you a lot to work with without actually revealing all that much.
Well, like if you remember from Aria, so for the folks who ran for Aria, they actually spoiled Lexi, the art and the name. So we knew the character Lexi, and we knew the art. We saw her adult art. So we knew that ahead of time before we actually saw the card. And so that's the same kind of deal with Yoji here. We see the art. He's the Guan Yu guy, right? He's the big chunky halberd guy. Yeah. He's like definitely. And I really think they did this because of his name too. Yoji Royal Protector. I feel that this is a bait and switch. I feel that they're like, he's Yoji Royal Protector, and everyone's like Guardian. And he's like, he's going to be something weird. Like, watch, he's going to be like a Dragoon or something. Something that's not even...
He's going to be the assassin.
I keep hearing people, he looks like the least stealthy assassin I can think of. He's like...
But that's the last person you would ever expect.
It is.
That's true.
The guy that's meant to protect the Emperor just decides he's the assassin all along. Yeah.
Yeah, just stab him with his halberd. Like,
betrayed!
Imagine that dude, like, slow, like, could you drunk? He's like trying to tiptoe, but he's wearing this massive plate armor. It's not that he's just big; he's also wearing like plate armor, and he has a massive halberd. Like
he's creeping along the halls of the Emperor's chambers, and because of how cavernous it is, it just echoes.
Yeah,
and he's like sneaky. Also, I like the idea. I just had this in my head of him with the halberd, but then he like splits it apart, and the back half is a dagger, and he's like, "Ha!"
Nice
weapon within a weapon.
I guess he gets the extra backstab damage for using a finesse weapon.
Critical hit.
It's so good. So yeah, I think it's intentional. I do.
Yeah, I do as well.
I really like it. I love when they do stuff like this.
Oh man, I think they're setting us up for stuff. I don't know if it's reading into stuff because they did say there's going to be a new class, right? And then they show this guy who's the new hero. We already know what the other class is of the heroes they've shown, and he's Royal Protector, and everyone's like, oh, he's a Guardian. But can he be a Guardian if he's the only other hero? He has to be something new, unless they're sandbagging other heroes. So, this is the kind of stuff that James White likes. He likes to create this kind of speculation and conversation. Like, it could just be like, he's the only dude, and he's like I said, Dragoon, or like Super Warrior, or something like, not a warrior, but something like
Super Saiyan.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's a great marketing thing. So I used to read a lot of Reddit when I was back into Magic the Gathering, and there was always when I was doing a podcast for Magic and stuff, we always used to think, right, is there someone from Wizards of the Coast going onto Reddit and intentionally spoiling things to get people talking about the game, get people talking about the next
I don't
set?
know.
Is there a reason? But I think there is definitely intent into what they're doing here. But spoiling little things, but not announcing it. I think it's a nice little strategy.
I think that like a 1,000,000%. Like,
yeah,
like for sure. Especially since, like I said,
like it.
James has gone on record saying he really loves when people speculate on stuff, and I know they like to throw in little things. So yeah. Like for example, for all of the old Flesh and Blood fogies out there, for Arcane Rising, they showed I think it was Voltic Bolt before they showed Wizard or Arcane Barrier at all. So it's just, you saw
really?
Voltic Bolt. That's just like deal 5 arcane damage. And everyone's like, "What the hell?" Like, because arcane damage didn't exist. We didn't know what arcane barrier was. Like, we're like, "What the hell is this?" They love stuff like that. So
similar to the last set where they spoiled Thor, and it was like unfreeze your whatever it was. I can't remember what the card is, but they spoiled that before anything came out. So everyone was like, "What does this do? What does this do?" So yeah, it's definitely a good idea.
It's like the what is it called? The Yorick promo that mentions like ponder tokens.
Oh,
or whatever.
Hummingbird.
No, it's
the newest one.
Call to Adventure.
Yeah.
They put like that. So
yeah,
it's interesting. Do you think what I liked? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I liked that Yorick promo, and I also liked when they revealed the flip side of Hummingbird that just has the flavorful version of it. Because it's like, well, if you read into it, you can kind of figure out what it is, but it is still like, oh, it's stuff to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
The one spicy thing I've seen has also to do with Assassin. People are like, what if we don't actually get Yoji? What if Yoji like dies, and then the Assassin takes their place? Like, what if it's like this big bait and switch where they show Yoji, and then like Yoji's dies, and then instead you get the Assassin. And then like
there was a recent Magic the Gathering set that was like that.
I would love for them to update the Yoji art with him just like dead. Like it was the same art, but it was him just dead. And then
he becomes living legend already, and his signature weapon then pops up on the website, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, he's just dead. And then
he's just dead. Yeah,
dies.
Then you just have a new thing on there that's just all question marks. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
I think that was something that Wizards of the Coast did for a conspiracy set. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I remember in recent memory.
Because I was playing then. It was for Conspiracy Take the Crown, and it was the blue-white king. He's like Brago, was it?
Yes.
And then like he was like the king, and then he died because Marchesa killed him. Because it was Marchesa the Black Rose, and then she killed him and became Queen Marchesa. That's what it was.
Oh yeah.
I
thought was really cool and memorable enough that I remember it now.
I completely forgot about it until you said that. I used to really be into Magic, so up until like 2022, which is coincidentally when Flesh and Blood kind of came out, but
took over.
But yeah,
we can speculate. We can speculate all. Yeah. I mean, we can speculate all night on what Yoji's gonna be, what that sort of snippet means. But leave your comments in the section below as to what you think.
I think I speak for everyone in saying that we want more heroes. I think everyone wants more heroes. We only see 2 on here, but I can't think of a single person who's like, nah, I just want 2. Like everyone's like, give us more heroes. I would personally love to see a bunch of new heroes for various classes. I was gonna say I don't think a lot of people are guessing like crazy stuff like Shadow Warrior and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna see any Shadow or Light, but just new heroes in general would be very, very cool.
Yeah, that's what these expansion sets are all about. Just more good stuff.
Yeah, give us the white-haired ninja waifu, and then give us the other white-haired illusionist waifu.
Just give it all to us.
Waifus.
Give me all the white-haired waifus.
Yes.
And we can have some of the other characters too. Yeah, that's fine. But like what? What are the other ones that people want? People want that big guardian guy with the armor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mangel.
Yeah. Big armor man.
Jarl Vatrady, I think his name is, something.
And one of them has like actual angel wings in the art, which is actually kind of crazy. I want to know what the deal with that is. Like they're actually, he's got like freaking wings. I think it's in.
Yeah, I think that one's Righteous Cleansing.
Righteous Cleansing. Yeah, the dude has like big wings, which is weird because they've said in the lore that angels don't exist. They're like just fables that are conjured by Prism.
Yeah.
So what's up with the dude with wings? Like, I don't know. Like, come on.
He was conjured by Prism. It's the Archive Sentinel.
Yeah, nah, I don't think he's conjured. It's a Guardian card. We need more Flesh and Blood lore. We're ravenous for it. Robbie Wen lore. Yeah. Let's go.
It's you know what I said about Dynasty. It's going to be interwoven with the lore, so we've got all that to explore hopefully in the future, and hopefully they keep doing it that way, whatever way that is. I'm sure it's going to be good.
Yes,
it feels like there's still so much to talk about, even though there hasn't actually been all that much revealed yet, and it's only going to get better once the spoilers actually start coming out. Because when's spoiler season? It's like soon. Feels like
it's at the beginning of November. I think it's like the 3rd. I want to say November 3rd.
Month and a half. Like still soon.
I think 40 something days or something.
Yeah, like content creators are going to start getting their spoiler, at least the first email that's like, are you still interested? Because that usually happens.
Yeah, usually get that a couple weeks before spoilers. Usually get my card only like about a week, I would say, before. Something like that. Yeah.
Gonna have to have the video queued up, like ready to release on YouTube or whatever format we're going to be. If it's going to be released during Worlds weekend.
Actually.
So.
Well, yeah, we'll see. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
In true to fashion, I'll probably finish my video like the night before it goes live. Hopefully I don't, but we'll see. Assuming I get a card. I don't actually know for sure. Well, I have a good feeling that I will, based on some questions that people from LSS asked me, but we'll talk about that later, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we will soon find out, but I'm confident as well that everyone will get one here. So just a few more things then to round it off. There is something that's going to happen soon, which I alluded to at the start of the episode. So if you're still hanging around to find out what that information is, here it is right now. So this is a new format proposed by Man Sant, who is the person who is responsible for bringing Leviah to the top of her abilities. So he loves Leviah. So this was proposed by him, and this is called a Clash, the new Clash format. I don't know whether this is going to stick or whether it's just going to be a one-time thing that was a bit of fun. But I've actually experimented with this myself before, and it was really, really good fun. And I think like Dear Mamada, I think has done it before in his Discord as well. I think people have sort of maybe experiment with it in the past. But Clash basically says, there's a little document here. So he pitches 8 content creators play in like a double elimination bracket, aiming for 2 games per week. So this will be content that you can actually watch, and it's going to be commentated by Mansant and Chris Bewley. So obviously LSS fully supporting this potential format. Again,
we don't know if LSS is supporting it. We just know that Chris Bewley is going to be doing
Chris
it.
Bewley is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all we need.
Yeah.
But we don't know how far this is going to go. It could just be a bit of fun in the moment, or it could be good. We'll see. But yeah, Mansant and Chris are going to be commentating it. And they propose that we use only commons and rares with a ban list pending, with up to 2 majestics, must be equipment or mentors. So you're allowed to use like Dreadbore, for instance, Kel's spoiler card for Everfest. Azalea could use that as her weapon because it's a majestic. And then you could use another majestic somewhere else in your deck, whether that's a mentor or something else, another piece of equipment. You don't want to use maybe perch grapplers. I'm speaking of Azalea, but anyway, you could use 2 majestics. It's being discussed. You might be able to use 3, but that's what it is at the moment. It's like commons and rares format with the ability to use 2 or 3 majestics. So I think it encourages like a space between sort of. Maybe not even between. So commoner can be degenerate as anything, really. It's still got access to a load of horrible cards, whereas this format opens up more heroes like Viserai Rune Chance, for instance, or Spectral Shield Prism couldn't even access the what was the card called? The instant one.
Prismatic Shield.
So
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind when I hear this format and they're allowing you to use majestic weapons and equipment is how is Sonata Viserai just not going to dominate everyone? And then also because you can, not Sonata, Bloodsheath Skeleton. You can do Skeleton Viserai.
Yes. But you can't use Sonata because that's a majestic, and you can only use majestic equipment or mentors.
Yeah. But I mean, like you could still do Slogism, and then just whatever other big attack you have to reduce the cost. So you can Slogism for a +6, and then come in with 15 rune chance and a big attack. And then also Prism can use Luminaris. So there's that.
You know what deck would be really good in this format?
Actually,
you know what cards are rares and use Luminaris?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, base level, Prism's going to be super strong because you can just all of the 1-for-7 heralds that she has, just here's 1-for-7 with Go Again, and then 1-for-6 with Go Again.
Yeah.
I have a feeling certain decks are going to be pretty strong right off the get go. I would say.
Potentially, yeah. That's the issue with things like this. When you cook up an idea, that idea can simply be abused by people that are minds that are familiar with the game. But I think a lot of the people that are playing in this are bringing their sort of favorite heroes to the fray. For instance, Fresh and Buds is playing. He's playing Levia, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm playing Azalea, and I don't know about the others yet. I don't know whether they've even been confirmed yet either.
I know. So, I'm not in this, but I think his intent was to get more eyes on some of the smaller content creators, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was gonna say, if I was invited, I'd probably play OTK Viserai, because one of my first decks that I ever built and played and I really loved was OTK Viserai in the Arcane Rising Crucible of War era, and literally you don't really run that many Majestics main board anyway, because Sonata didn't exist. The only Majestics really, you don't have your Mordred Tide, and you don't have your Viserai specialization, Arknight Ascendancy, I think is what it's called. Yep. But you could still jam in with any big old attack plus a Slogism and 15 rune chance, and good luck blocking that out. You could. I used to be able to do that in Classic Constructed. It was a thing. So,
and since you have access to majestic equipment, that means you could use Quillhand, Vexing Quillhand, and Skeleta. That's a good loadout.
Yep, you can use definitely use Bloodsheath Skeleta. Yeah, I'm also thinking what else. You can use rare weapons, right? Because you can use rare stuff. So you can use the his old wacky stick that makes it so you can't people can't gain life. So you can
Dread Blade.
Reaping Blade.
Dread Sight.
No, Reaping Blade. Reaping Blade's right.
Is it Reaping Blade?
Yeah, Reaping Blade has that passive on it. That's just
Yes. Yeah. It's when you attack, it deals an arcane, and then if you've dealt arcane. No,
that's Dread Scythe. That's Dread Scythe. Reaping Blade.
I obviously don't know Reaping Blade weapons very well.
Reaping Blade is a this is off the top of my head. It's a 2-handed sword. It attacks for 3, costs 1 to attack, and then it just has a passive, just kind of like how Dreadbore has a passive, and it's just players with more life than any other player can't gain life. I think that it's something to that effect. Players with more life than any other player can't gain life. And so what you do is you just take a little bit of damage, and then you just turtle up with all your defense reactions. You can play the aura that prevents 4, it'll stick around and absorb the first 4. The Enchanting Melody. You can play Enchanting Melody.
Yes.
And you just play a bunch of that, a bunch of rune chant generators, and you just turtle up, and then you attack them with 15 to 23 rune chants and Slogism, because you make it so your Slogism is free from Bloodsheath Skeleta, and so you attack him for 12 plus 23 rune chants.
Powerful.
And most people can't really live through that, so
Yeah.
I would definitely be playing Aggro Prism in this, because basically the entire deck outside of I think Art of War and Herald of Erudition, I think, are like the only two real Majestics. I also run like a one of Vipox just for fun.
Yeah.
But like all of the attacks that I run are basically commons, and then all of the Phantasmify effects are rares.
That seems sweet. Yo, Bill,
Nice.
we should build these decks and play them.
Yes. just for us. Also, I still need to do this deck tech on your
Yeah.
channel.
Now, I was gonna say, now that I think about it, my Viscerai plans totally get hard countered by Dromai, who actually has big dragons. And as I turtle up, she's just gonna have an army of dragons.
yeah.
They're gonna kill me. So I just
they all
gotta
have Arcane Barrier.
I just gotta dodge the dragons. But if I could dodge the dragons,
Arcane Barrier 12. Lovely.
I think
yeah.
I think I have a good matchup.
Yeah.
I want to build this deck. So like, this is a format sort of that I inquired upon people when I first heard about Commoner. I was like, oh, can you use rares? And people were like, no, you can't use it. It makes it too imbalanced. I don't know. No one gave me any like empirical data to show that it made it imbalanced. And I was just like, all right, whatever. I'll go with what people said. But Commoner with rares is something that I always thought was would be really interesting because, like as said, it makes more decks viable, like Viscerai. And rares are like still dirt cheap. I can't. What's the most expensive rare in the game? $1? I don't even know. I don't even know what the most expensive rare in the game is. Probably not very much, right?
I think it's like maybe at some point. I think it was like foil red plunder run. Like maybe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like foil.
But like for non-foils,
energy potion. Oh, yeah, plunder run, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, plunder run or like snatch, like red snatch, maybe. But I don't know.
I know at one point the alpha foil like energy potions and potions were worth a bit, but those are alpha cards and those are all like ridiculous. Like
I think like foil potions from alpha are like at least $100.
Wow.
Like foil, like pink pitch cards that are like staples are also worth a lot. Like Sink Below and Scar for a Scar, even the commons are worth a lot. So, I think it's cool. It'll be interesting to see. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out because I immediately think of several different heroes that seem like they could be a lot stronger than others because they're carried by their equipment, like just by how strong the Majestic equipment can be. So.
Yeah, but when you look at certain Majestics against others, it's just a very stark difference. So yeah, it could be quite swingy. But we'll see what happens.
Hey, if you're doing Dreadbore Azalea, you won't have Knock the Death Whistle, but you could still recur big arrows with Memorial Ground, and you have more pumps. You have the rare pumps. All
the take aims and stuff.
Release the tension. So you'll actually have Dreadbore and release the tension, so you can make it so your opponent can't do any defense reactions at all, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because obviously a lot of the value in commons and rares is the defensive reactions.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. It's just using Dreadbore with release tensions to get some damage through. We'll see.
The big things you'll have to be afraid of are Oasis Respite. And the Sigils.
Oh, yes. That bloody thing.
Oasis Respite and Sigil of Solace are going to be everywhere.
Oh, damn. That Oasis Respite.
In this hypothetical Viscerai deck that I'm building, I'm running, obviously, 2 red Oasis Respites and then also Sigils and all of the defense reactions. And...
Pure turtle heading. Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
Yep. So look forward to getting Oasis Respited on your big dominated arrow.
Yeah, can't wait. Lovely.
Yeah, they're like, block for... defense react. Oh, no, even with no defense react, it would just be like block for 3, Oasis Respite, prevent 4, take 1.
Hurts.
Yeah,
hurts.
That's the thing. Like if as an Azalea player, right now at this moment in time, you have to think. Right, if I'm dominating an arrow, they can only defend with 1 card from hand, which is basically 3 damage. Most of the time, they're going to be able to block. Then, worst case scenario, they can defense react from Arsenal, which is basically another 4. So I have to make up 7 damage. Then, if they chuck their equipment in front of it, that's probably an average of 4. So I have to be up to 11. And then with an Oasis Respite, I have to be up to 15 before an on-hit effect goes through, which is ridiculous.
So the biggest arrow in the game is 6, but you can't run it because it's Majestic. So the biggest arrow in the game that you could play is 5. So you would need another 10 plus 10 to get up to 15. And you
could technically do 6 with red headshot. active that turn.
That's true.
Yeah.
Active red headshot would get you up to 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could get up to 15 if you have red headshot. You would need a resource.
Before.
You need a resource to shoot it off, and then you'd also need 3+3s. That all cost 0. So you could get you can go nimblism, release attention, aim shot, something like that.
Or
seek and destroy or something.
Well, you can't because it's majestic.
Oh yeah, damn.
Oh, I was gonna say minnowism, but no, minnowism works for things with base 3 or less, I think.
Yeah, you
take
need
aim.
Yeah, take aim.
Take
what
aim.
did I say? Aim
Yeah.
shot? Yeah, take aim is what I meant. Take aim is +3. Nimblism is a 0+3. And then you can do release attention for a 0+3. There's also read the glide path, which is great. It lets you opt.
Yeah.
Lets you opt.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can
loads of options.
You can do it. But here's the saddest part. This is the anguish of the Azalea, right?
I'm always anguished.
You're jumping through all these fucking hoops. You're like bending over backwards, like doing somersaults and handstands and everything just to get up to 15 damage. Everything has to be perfect, right? You need the perfect arrow. You need to have it off the top of your deck to give it dominate. You need to have these other 3 cards, and you're like 15 damage. And then you play against Briar, and Briar's like, my random hand. It's like 25.
25,
yeah. Oh, and then I attack you for 2 and 2 with my weapon.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers.
Yeah.
and then the on hit effects that I'm trying to force through makes their next attack cost 1 extra.
The good, yeah, exactly. It makes it like a
shot.
It makes it a bad frostbite token.
Yeah.
The good news for Azalea, but also for every other aggro deck, so Briar. The good news is you can run a Plunder Run, which will at least let you draw a card.
Yeah.
Maybe let you draw a card. So you can run Plunder Run, but then also Briar can run Plunder Run. Briar's going to be gross.
Oh, no.
By the way, Briar and Chain are also going to be disgusting. So look forward to that. Look forward to that.
God damn. Talented Rune Blades.
Because if there's no ban list, Chain can just be like, you can seeds it up, man. And there's Stubby Hammers, so you could do Stubby Hammers, Seeds of Agony, Chain to just push a billion damage.
Oh, brilliant.
Hey, we're just spitballing for the format, you know.
Yeah.
It's a little bit morbid because I'm not playing in it, so I can think of all these gross things.
Just think of all the gross things, and it just goes to show that any format can be degenerate.
Well,
yeah. So, but yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see where that goes. So excited for my participation in that. We'll see what the outcome of that is. We'll see. But that's pretty much all we have time for today. But also wanted to mention another award that was recently given to Legends Story Studios, and that was fairly recently. So I didn't have this on the sheet or on the docket for today until fairly recently. So this was nice to see that Flesh and Blood, particularly Uprising from Legends Story Studios, won the best trading card game in 2022. And the runners-up here were Magic the Gathering, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and Pokemon Go. So, beating out 2 sets from some absolute titans that have been in the industry for God knows how long. Flesh and Blood's newest set, Uprising, taking the cake here for this award. I cannot remember where the award comes from, though. So
it was the Tabletop Gaming Awards, I believe.
Right, yeah, it does say on the trophy, on the graphic that I've made. So I don't know why I didn't read that. Never mind. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, tabletop gaming. So yeah, that's right. But yeah, that's brilliant to see that it's beating out other sets of other games that have been around for so much longer. It's just a great sort of optic to where the game's going. So.
100%.
Yeah, just wanted to top that off there and just say lovely old job to Legends Story Studios for that.
It's incredibly well deserved, right? The game is so fantastic. Obviously, it's biased. We have a Flesh and Blood podcast that we're talking about right now, but it's an incredible game, and they deserve all of the accolades.
They put a lot of effort into making the game as good as it is, and it's good that they're getting noted, or they're getting the notoriety for it. And,
it's
they deserve it.
I mean, in my humble opinion, I think Flesh and Blood is one of the best designed trading card games in history. So obviously, I think it's very well designed. It incorporates all the best parts of like modern game design. I don't want to get like too much into it, but it's a fantastic game, and it deserves it. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, congratulations. Thought I'd end on a fantastic note there. So well done to LSS on winning Tabletop Gaming Awards 2022 for Best Trading Card Game. Well done. I did have an Arsenal step planned, but I think we've gone on for quite a long time, haven't we?
It's been a little bit. A little bit.
It's been a little bit.
I mean, the Arsenal step is a pillar of our podcast.
Yeah, we can.
Yes,
we can fit in the Arsenal step.
All right.
A little behind the curtains. Az and I are going to be doing a live stream right after this that you will have seen like last week because it will be on Saturday, and this podcast is coming out on Wednesday after. But I actually just quickly pushed the stream back 30 minutes, so we got a little time for the little Arsenal step.
Good.
Cool. Yeah. So this is it's actually quite funny because the Arsenal step that I planned was I've been playing a game called Eratus Lord of the Dead, which is like a roguelike RPG sort of team squad based game where you build a party of sort of skeletons and necromancers and liches to go through the dungeon, which is different every time you go into it, and it's punishingly difficult as well. And I've just thought I've identified that I think roguelike games or procedurally generated games are my favorite games to play because every time you play them, they're always different. No matter how long you spend in your game room clicking your mouse, smashing buttons, that every dungeon that you go into is going to be different than the one before. So it's similar to how Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, Diablo 3 I played a lot of, and Diablo 2 especially, all the little dungeons and planes and stuff that you go into are different every time, and the enemies that spawn have different weapons and different things that you encounter that are always different, and I think that's just magical game design, is just being different every time. So yeah, I just wanted to get maybe opinions on roguelike games that I may not have encountered. But yeah, what are you guys? What do you play a lot of roguelikes, or do you like that sort of game style?
Yes. The answer is yes.
I do too. I'm gonna let Kel go first because I can actually think of like almost 10 roguelikes that I like off the top of my head. Right?
That's the thing. I'm like, I don't know if you want me to go first because I really like the roguelike genre, and I like multiple styles of roguelites. I tend to go towards card games, but there are non-card games too. So like, for example, my partner Robin loves The Binding of Isaac. It's one of her favorite games. It's an Edmund Macmillan game, same guy who did like Super Meat Boy, but I think Binding of Isaac is more popular these days than Super Meat Boy anyway. Binding of Isaac's great. I played it a bit. I've gotten like 100% old version of it. The ones that I actively play, my favorite game last year, Inscription, was a roguelite. Sort of. Yeah. It's sort of roguelike. I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a brilliant game. Absolutely love it.
It's like a third of a roguelike, and then there's also other stuff.
It's a great narrative experience, but also a roguelike too. It's great. Obviously, Slay the Spire is like a huge one. FTL, if people know FTL is a great one. I think FTL is a space one. So you're on a little spaceship. Everything's like compartmentalized, so you have different areas of the spaceship, and you have your little crewmates, and you can have them, man or be on the navigations, be on the weapons, be on the shields or whatever, and then you can board enemy spaceships. It's a cool little game. Pretty sure you can play it on your phone. And I love the Legends of Runeterra single player roguelite. It's not,
didn't know that either.
It's a little bit of a roguelite. Some of the encounters are kind of similar. Like it's not.
It's like if you're familiar with Hearthstone duels, or like Hearthstone like adventure mode. I think it's pretty similar to that, right?
Kind of. It's kind of like that. But they're actual like games of Runeterra, and then you like level up. Like you get little items that you put on your champion, and they get stronger. So you have like super overpowered cards, but your enemies will also be super overpowered, and you'll have like passives that affect it. It's a ton of fun. I've been playing it a lot. I've actually been playing I play it like almost every day. I really love single player experiences like that. And then I'm sure there's like a bunch of others like Hades and stuff that I can let Bill talk about if he wants to talk about this.
Yeah.
love
I
roguelikes.
do like card based things, but I think I like RPG and like beat 'em up or like
Mhm.
hack and slash roguelikes probably the most.
That's
For
fair.
card ones, obviously like Slay the Spire is really good. I've also enjoyed Griftlands.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one that I'm not like terribly great at it, but it's very like narrative focused.
Great
It's very
aesthetics.
it's kind of weird because you can play it two different ways. There's either like the beat 'em up hack and slash style where you're actually fighting people with a deck that you put together, but at the same time you create a deck of like attacks and defense and whatever. But then there's also a separate deck, and I forget what it's called, but it's like the conversation deck where you can have like either your deck is about you using like insults and stuff at people and they do damage to their morale, or you can have like persuasive arguments, and it's the same sort of thing.
I
Yeah.
think
It's
you'd
still
really
like
like
a
it
turn-based
as.
thing.
I think you'd like it as. It's
Griftlands
very
is
like
Griftlands is really
cyberpunky.
cool.
It's very like
Um,
it's your vibe. It's very like cyberpunky.
yeah,
Mm.
it's a really good game.
And
I
what
also
what
like
you were
Monster
saying,
Train.
yeah, what you were saying there about the you can do physical damage, but you can also do mental damage. It is similar to the game I've been playing, which is the Lord of Aratus one, where you have the physical damage, but you also have like terror damage, like sanity damage. So if you do enough sanity damage to someone, they'll just go insane. Then they'll get loads of debuffs because they're either confused or they want to betray their teammates or what have you. And it's similar to what Kel just put in the chat there. Darkest Dungeon. I think it's similar to that. I haven't played Darkest Dungeon, but I think it is inspired from that. You have like a squad of people against another squad of people, and you can do like physical attacks and sanity attacks and stuff, which I think is similar to that Darkest Dungeon.
Darkest
I
Dungeon.
played a little bit of Darkest Dungeon. I didn't quite get into it, but I can see the appeal for sure.
I really like it. I like the sequel a little bit more, but also the sequel when I played it was easy and I beat my first run. So, which shouldn't happen in Darkest Dungeon. But it's a good game. And I also put in the chat Vault of the Void, which is another indie roguelike card game. It's really, really, really good. So if you like Slay the Spire and you're like, I want to play something that's not Slay the Spire, but with maybe like a little bit different mechanics and a little bit different stuff, but still like great polish, Vault of the Void is super, super good.
Nice.
Cool. I really desperately want to get a couple more of these out because whatever, but I'm just gonna lightning round them.
Yeah.
Go. Monster Train is a card battler.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
And it's really, really good. And then for like beat 'em up ones, I've played Dead Estate, which is kind of fun. It's like kind of an isometric view, like sort of 3/4 camera, and you fight your way through this like mansion with monsters and stuff.
I don't think I've heard of that.
Really
one.
cool.
I'll look it up.
It's really fun. It's very charming. I think Kel would like the shopkeeper, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh wait, no, I know this game, and I know the shopkeeper. Yes, yes, and yes.
But so I like Dead Estate. I also like Dead Cells. Dead Cells is really good.
That's a good one.
What are some other ones that I've played? I think those are the only ones that I'm going to bring up right now because I love roguelike.
It's funny, like my favorite like gaming YouTubers are ones that play a lot of roguelites. So all of these games, like he mentioned the Dead Estate, and I'm like, I've never played it. And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh yeah, I watched Indie Mouse play this. Like, yeah, it was a great video too. So roguelites are great. They're a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But mostly Robin and I just play, like we mentioned last week, Diablo 3. We play a lot of Diablo 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that class is. Sorry, Bill. I know you're like,
it's
one more. And it's really good. Have a Nice Death is an indie one, and it's very good.
I gotta look up. Have a Nice Death.
You play as a little Grim Reaper, and you have to beat up your subordinates in hell.
I don't think I've ever seen this game played, but I've definitely seen the art for it.
Yeah, it's very charming and super fun.
Huh? Is it it's a side scroller kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Side scroller, hack and slash, beat 'em up style.
I was gonna say I'm getting sort of Hollow Knight vibes from it, like from like the art design. Yeah. It's kind of a very Hollow Knight art design kind of thing, but not exactly. That seems cool.
Yeah, but that's the last one. I promise.
I mean,
epic. Well, I've got loads of suggestions there. That's great.
we got indie games up the wazoo. But I really can't recommend Inscription enough if you want just a good single player experience. Like I
Mhm.
really, really love that game. Like it's the kind of game that I thought about it a lot after I played it and beat it. It's also a game that I don't give
one
up.
of the things that you can do, you can kill the moon.
Yes.
Oh, I remember this reference. We've spoke about this before.
You do fight
moon.
you do fight the moon. It's such a cool game. Like the whole concept for it. I can't talk about it without spoilers. It's one of those games where like 33% of the way through, you think the game's over. It's not over. You still got like 66%, and it does a hard swap. And I don't want to say more than that. And then it'll do another
Nice.
hard swap where you think it's over again, and you're like, "What the hell is going on?" I think it's not too expensive, and it just came out on the PlayStation Network. I thought about buying it just to play it again on PS5 because I played it on PC. Really love the game. It's super good.
It's so annoying when these games are like, oh yeah, I've played this game before on a previous system, but now I have to buy it for the Switch as well. It's just like, goodness sake.
There's only a couple of games that I've ever done that for. Diablo 3 is one of them because I have it on PC.
Yeah.
And then I bought it for PS4 and for couch co-op, which is great. The other one is most people probably don't know this about me, but I'm a huge sucker for the Uncharted games. I think they're just super fun. I love the adventure aspect. I like Indiana Jones kind of vibe, which is also
very cinematic.
Which is also really why I like the Tomb Raider games. I love the searching for ancient treasures and stuff. So I bought. Yeah. They recently did a remaster of like what is it? It's like the Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy for PS5, and I was just like, it's like $10. I'll buy it again. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Give me another reason to play through it again. It's like the game that I play through every year. But Uncharted 4.
I've done that exactly twice, and it was with Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3.
Oh yeah, that's a great game.
I can see that for sure. Yeah. Did you play Borderlands with like friends, or did you just go solo?
Mostly with friends.
That sounds about right.
It's the same with Diablo for me though. Like I like to play with friends, but then when it gets to the end game, I like to play solo until my friends are like the same level as me.
Yeah,
the same sort of general power level.
It's a little different for Diablo with me because I play with Robin, and if I play without her, she's like, "Oh, you play without me?" She's like, "Why are you Paragon level, like 550? I'm only 500." I'm just like, I did a few riffs. Like, I was like, well, I wanted to do the other build, so I had to go farm up the right legendaries so that it would work. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Anyway, this is the same as last week. We could go on and on about all these games that we play that aren't fleshed.
Cheers for bringing it back onto the rails there, Bill.
Hey, we just like games, right? We love Flesh and Blood, but we like games, in general. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that is going to pretty much wrap it up. Thanks for the awesome suggestions there, guys, for roguelites. But definitely going to be checking these out as I'm going to be traveling soon. So yeah, definitely needs to be done. But before we wrap it up, if we just do a roundtable of where people can find us, I'll start. I'm the host. My name's Az from Go Again Gaming YouTube channel. You can find me on there. And another place where you can find me of all the weird graphics and stuff that I do is Go Again Gaming AZ, on Twitter. But I'll throw it over to Bill now, as he's next on the screen here, which you can't see.
I am Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find us live at the Spike Feeders FAB, and by live I mean we do live recorded gameplay. It isn't actually like streamed or anything, but you do get to see us play in gauntlets and just live gameplay in general. It's a lot of fun. The next gauntlet in the series is going to be with Mr. Red Zone Rogue himself, and it's going to be a commoner gauntlet, which we were talking about earlier. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can also find me on Twitter at BillTSF. And yeah, if you like weird content, feel free to follow me there.
My name is Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue. You can find me at Red Zone Rogue everywhere, YouTube and Twitter, mostly on YouTube, but also Twitter. I do have an Instagram and Facebook if that is your persuasion, but I don't use them that much. Like Bill said, I will be on their channel, Spike Feeders Fab, doing some commoner Dromai gauntlet. I think I mentioned earlier in the episode that Dromai is one of my favorite heroes in the game, so it's a really fun gauntlet. And it's not an easy one. We come up against some pretty hard matches, so it's a really fun one. You should definitely check it out. So yeah, that's that. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next week on another episode of the Living Legends podcast. See you then, everyone.
Take care, everyone.